The Secret Knowledge of the Self by H. W. Hodgetts, William, from LoveTheMeaningOfLife.com. Spiritual Evolution, Love the Meaning of Life, an oasis for spiritual searchers. There is no greater knowledge than knowledge of the self, and it was when man first began to pursue and accumulate such knowledge that religions were founded. Those who possess knowledge of the self also possess knowledge of all other sentient beings. When you can understand the reasons for the self's actions, you possess the power to control them. You also possess the power to control the actions of other sentient beings, without them being aware that they are being manipulated. Knowledge of the self brings with it a great responsibility, and also a great temptation to use it against others to gain power and wealth for the self. If such knowledge had been shared, then power over others would not have been possible, and so to preserve both the knowledge and what was gained from it, the knowledge was encoded in metaphors and symbols. This put the knowledge beyond the understanding of those unable to interpret its meanings. Religion became no more than weaponized psychology, used to control the masses for the benefit of the few. The secret knowledge of the self has existed for many thousands of years, passing to the rulers of many civilizations, and each one preserved and presented it in their own unique metaphors and symbols. It is why a close study reveals many similarities. There are even today organized religions sustaining the greatest and longest fraud that mankind has ever witnessed. Mankind will never cease to suffer as long as they are denied the truth that will set them free and make all equal. For those with the eyes to see, and the ears to understand, I am going to reveal what the most powerful people throughout history knew. What I am going to tell you may seem controversial, and for some, very difficult to accept because of what they have been led to believe, and what they desire to be true. Throughout history there have been rulers such as pharaohs and Roman emperors, who have proclaimed themselves to be gods. They were not lying or delusional. What they didn't reveal is the truth that all sentient beings are gods, and that includes you. Yes, I did just say that you are a god, and with a capital G. The definition of a god is the creator and ruler of a universe. There are three words in the definition that need further consideration, i.e., creator, ruler, universe. The ability to create requires the attributes of awareness, desire, and will. These three powers are increased to a level that is dependent on both knowledge and understanding. It is knowledge and understanding that empowers the self. To be deprived of these, is to be deprived of power over your own life. The greater the knowledge and understanding, the greater is the ability to create. You possess awareness, desire, and will, and so you have the ability to create. What you are able to create is dependent on what you know and understand. Now we must consider the creation and rulership over a universe. It is the fact that this universe and this world existed prior to its inhabitation of any life forms. This proves that it was not created by man. It was created by an intelligent, sentient designer, imbued with the infinite power of knowledge and understanding, a supreme God. But you will not find this God interfering with this world or with the will of lesser gods. It is plain to see that the supreme God does not exert rulership over any sentient beings in this world. It can be seen that because of this the supreme God is not the supreme ruler of the universe that he created. Religion has adulterated the image of the supreme God and replaced it with the image of man. They have also adulterated the scriptures with interpretations that close the eyes to the truth that you are a God. The scriptures were always about you, your life journey and its completion as an enlightened and empowered God. They were a guide to the light, to the experience of feeling perfect and unconditional love. The universe that every sentient being creates and rules over is a spiritual one. We refer to it as the mind, the world within, the place where the self resides. Heaven and hell were never material places, they are simply states of mind. When you consider the nature of the God in religions such as Judaism and Islam, you should ask yourself, if the God created many races of people and chose only one race to dominate the earth and to be his people, what would you call that? Is it not racist? You should also ask yourself, why would an all-powerful God require people to kill unbelievers? Religion has become an excuse for many to engage in the use of their most basic and evil instincts. The wolf does not always wear sheep's clothing. Prior to my enlightenment, I lost any belief in the God that they had taught me about. I thank the church leaders for that. I didn't see at that time any proof for the existence of a God, and this made me wonder, is there life after death or is it just an end to awareness? I had no proof of either, but I hoped it would be an end to awareness. I began searching my memories, and at first began to look at my spiritual experiences. They had been so long ago that I was no longer sure of their reality. I then considered all the knowledge that I had accumulated throughout my life journey. I wanted something to validate my life, I wanted a reason to live. For all the knowledge that I had, I could find nothing of any worth. I had been emptied, I knew nothing, but I still felt something deep inside. It was love, my love. It was as always, alone and unfulfilled. I began to question the worth of love, which had been the driving force of my life, and it had caused me so much suffering. It had taken away desire for material things which people are respected and admired for. I asked myself, was the pursuit of and the faith in love a mental defect? One that had robbed me of the pleasures of this world? I didn't realize at the time that I was experiencing what religious texts refer to as the tribulation, which is a state of great trouble or suffering. I looked back over my life journey and I thought, what was it all about? What was it all for? It came to my mind that life itself seemed to be some kind of cruel joke, that life itself was more of a curse than a blessing, and it occurred to me that I wished I had never been born. It is said that all things come to pass. What then, I thought, is the worth of anything that I do? Life was a series of moments, some of pleasure and some of suffering. When placed on the scales, it was obvious that the suffering had far outweighed the pleasure. I thought that if I had the choice of living my life over again with the same experiences, or to not live at all, I would choose not to live. I thought that if there was a supreme God that created us and the universe, then He alone would be responsible for all of the suffering. What has this got to do with love? Why was I cursed with awareness and cast into a world with so much evil as an innocent and defenseless child? I have always been a person of logic and reasoning, but now even those things seemed empty and worthless. There seemed to be no profit in any of the knowledge that I had accumulated in my memory. I tried to look to the future to see what might come, but all I found was a dark emptiness. I could find nothing anywhere that would lift me out of this nightmare. It was bad enough to experience such a tribulation, but now I found myself experiencing the dark night of the soul. I was alone, completely and utterly alone, and I was empty. Even desire was absent and silent. The only thing that I now felt was awareness, and I realized that it was a complete awareness of myself as a singularity. I realized that I was not the image that I had created of myself, the image which I had experienced life through. I was not that image, it was an image created by my desire. My desire had always been for love and truth, but what little I had found on my life journey had always required sacrifices. It came to me that the greatest love and truth required the greatest sacrifices. I had always understood the reason why we should love, and I always knew what was true. I could never lie to myself. I always knew that love and truth were the only things that are good and right, and of these love is the greatest. What worth is truth without love? And of what worth is life without love? Conditional love is not real lasting love, it is only temporary, and is like snowflakes that melt in the hand. Such love is born of lies, deceit and ignorant selfishness. It is something that I could never settle for. I still had time left on my life journey, but I wanted nothing of the world for myself, so what next would I do? I was on my knees, lost and alone like I had been many times in my life. It was then that a vision was revealed to me. I saw and felt all the suffering in the world, as I had done before the beginning of my life journey, and I felt the sorrow and injustice of it all. My desire awakened and it was righteous and strong. It was born of empathy and I felt my power raising me to my feet. It didn't matter how much life I had left, or how much I would have to suffer, I would spend what life I had left trying to ease the suffering of others and bringing joy to their lives. At least I would leave a better world behind. My own life was given up and I would be in the full service of love and truth. They are the only things worth living and dying for. My image had been changed and purified, and through it I transcended into the light. When I entered the light, it was not in my physical body, as that seemed not to exist anymore, neither was there any information from the physical senses. I was having a complete out-of-the-body experience and fully submerged in the spiritual realm. It all felt so peaceful and natural. I could see the light, it seemed infinite. It was the light of understanding, and within the light all truth was revealed. My consciousness had expanded so much that it had no perceivable boundary. It was as if I had stepped into a vast library of knowledge, but I had no questions for the moment. I then felt something permeate every part of my being. It was the warmth and power of perfect love, unconditional and content love, the kind of love that is eternal. It was my own love. If you could feel that kind of love for even a moment, you would know that you had found the end, and in that moment you would remember your beginning. We are eternal beings, and therefore the only death and resurrection that we can ever experience is that of our images. What was there ever to fear but a wasted life journey, and the reincarnation into the world that you left behind? If I have any advice for you now, it is, be still and know that you are a God.